Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this May 30th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon, and we are on the EOA network. And here in just a bit, we're going to have guests Doug Hopper and Dean Varney from First Baptist Church here talking about a local ministry they're involved in called Fathers in the Field.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
First Friday.
First Friday.
Oh, we got working mics today. We don't have the community mic over there.
Yeah, that was my fault. Totally. Yeah. No, it's funny. I
happens.
moved the mixer board in there the other day and just plugged it into the wrong
Did you
outputs.
forget that you moved the mixer board?
No.
Oh, you knew?
No,
I
knew.
thought it just magically happened. Like, I'm like, how does this happen? Like, nobody.
No.
But I didn't know you had moved the board.
No, I had moved it. Yeah, but when I plugged it back in,
You put it in the wrong hole.
yeah.
Don't you
And
usually
once-
use like colored tape
And
for
once I
that?
figured out, well, that's a super complicated mixer, and so, and yeah, so we only use, we use like 10% of what it can actually do, and I just, I should have had color tape.
Color coded.
But we don't.
That way
the things like color code normally are the things that we unplug and plug in all the
Normally,
time.
yeah.
And this is something we just don't mess with very often. So yeah, but and once I figured out what was wrong, it was amazing that we had any audio whatsoever.
How come there was just one mic though? Like, I don't understand that.
Well, so that mixer we ended up being plugged into a monitor mix instead. And on that digital mixer, you kind of go through the things and the faders change and so on and so forth. Well, so then when I finally found the mix that it was plugged in, the only mic that was turned up was yours.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. So anyhow.
That's not my strong point. I get too frustrated looking at all those wires. Like, just
Yeah.
nope.
Yeah. So, but hey, yeah, we have audio. Yeah. So
It's always a plus.
yeah. Yeah, because we're kind of picky about that.
Day 2 of deliberations for Trump.
I know. I saw a little bit of that. They were
He
trying-
thinks he's guilty. Like, all the news I've been reading is
Yeah.
he's like preparing. Well, he ain't gonna go to jail. I mean, there's a possibility. It's a like Class E felony in New York or something. But
Yeah.
You know how much it would cost to put him in jail? The Secret Service has to protect him in jail too. Like,
Yeah.
he's under Secret Service protection for the rest of his life, no matter where he's at.
Yeah.
So they ain't gonna put him in jail. He's gonna have a ankle monitor.
Out on the campaign trail.
And they said it's not gonna affect his vote, like the votes that he gets either, which is crazy. Like, you can be basically this case is like a hush money case. Like, he was paying people to be quiet.
Yeah.
And he's no doubt guilty. But it's crazy that we're in a position in America where that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, that's our two choices for president are so, I don't want to say bad, but just not
I think
that we're going to elect a criminal.
I think that many people have that sentiment that is like, this is the choice that we have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't,
crazy.
and I don't want to get into it too much, but it's like, I have no doubt that both of them have broken the law along
Numerous
the way.
times.
Numerous times.
Well, I mean, a lot of politicians.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you wonder, like, what, like, the forefathers are, like, doing in their grave right now, just, like, looking at us like, what are these guys doing? We worked so hard to get this thing going, and here these guys are dumping on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's I guess, and that's kind of why I like to talk about, and you and I talk about this. That's why we like to talk about local stuff, because I mean, we can make a difference somehow in our little community by being involved or telling good stories. There's very little that we can do about what's happening on the west side. There's even less than what we can do about what's happening in Washington, D.C. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Very true.
But we can make a difference right here, right now, in this
True
life.
that. True that. It's weird. It's weird, this world we live in. Like, I say this a lot. If you would have sat me down as like a 10-year-old kid and said, "Hey, tell me what it's going to be like in 2024,"
Yeah.
I would have never even came close.
Well, I mean, I've told you this before. It was like when I was like 6 or 7 years old. I calculated the year it would be when I could retire, And I thought, I'll probably be dead by 2025, And so it was, So here we are, man.
How was your birthday yesterday?
It was good. No. It was.
74?
What's that?
70, 60?
What's
68?
something I could throw at you? Yeah. I don't have anything loose.
Yeah, you're wearing 74 pretty well.
No, it was number 63, dude. And it was, 63. Yeah. It was good. We went out to Kelsey's last night, and so I got to see the grandkids. And
what'd you guys eat for dinner? What'd they cook?
We had, Tanya picked up Kentucky Fried Chicken on the way out. Yeah,
you like KFC, so
it was it was like traditional, and we had ice cream and.
That was my second real job ever, outside of farm work. Yeah, well, I worked at my first real job was at Tagaris Farms on the potato farm.
Yeah.
And that was when I was 14, and then on right around my 16th birthday, I got hired by Bob at KFC.
Yeah,
that was a great job. I worked with the best looking girl too. Oh my gosh, it was heavenly.
Well, you were in high school.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The girl, she was in a class above me, and yeah, she was. And it was KFC. Like you get to take home the leftovers at the end of the night.
Yeah. And
the only problem is when you cook at KFC and you're a teenager.
Yeah.
You have to be vigilant about acne because there's so much grease back there.
Yeah.
So it's just like I was constantly, and I never had a problem with acne, thankfully. But when I worked there, I had to actually work at it.
Huh.
Yeah. It's a greasy mess.
Yeah.
But man, you get creative back there with all the different things that you can make.
Yeah, I don't think as a customer I want to even know.
No, it's gross. The gravy, so the fryer's like this big.
Yeah.
It cooks under pressure.
Right.
You can cook 5 racks of chicken at a time, at least back then. And then what you use for the gravy is down below. There's a gravity-fed,
grease trap or something. Yeah.
A filter.
Yeah.
So it filters the oil, and then you scoop the junk off the top of the filter for the gravy. It goes into the gravy.
Well, that's kind of how my mom used to make gravy.
Yeah. But it was that was a good job. Yeah. Bob was really good about working around sports schedules and.
Yeah, he owned that business he doesn't anymore. But,
no, his daughter graduated with me, Audra, and then the crazy thing is we lived here for a short time when I was 6 for 6 months. My mom worked there. Okay, so I was 6, so that was 85. Mm-hmm. I come back when I'm 16, so that's 10 years later. The same lady is the manager, okay? I come back 5 years ago to move back here. Guess who the manager is?
Same lady?
Same lady.
Yeah.
Connie.
That's why Bob owned that place for so long. You have good people working.
I also redid the tile in that store with the guy. Some guy was redoing the tile, and I was working, and he goes, You doing anything the next couple of nights? I was like, why? And he goes, I need somebody to help me tile this place. I was like, sure. So we worked all night once it closed, all through the night, and retiled the place in a couple of nights.
Huh.
Yeah. First experience of tile. Tile's not fun.
No, it's not.
It's hard on your back and your knees. And my ex-grandfather-in-law, he was a tile layer. And he did it for 50 years.
Yeah.
Breaks you down.
Yeah. Well, hey, you want to do sports?
Let's do it.
All right.
And Sports Report brought to you by Buffalo Peak Golf Course. Take the Union Highway, go out through Union, take a left, go up the hill. Beautiful 18-hole links-style course. Dana and his team are doing a great job. The weather's starting to get nice. Go out there and check them out and meet me at the Peak. There's not a lot to talk about today, really. It's kind of that pause time. Baseball's over, softball's over, track's over. I'll talk just a little bit about Shrine. July 27th, I believe the kickoff is at 6 p.m. in Baker City, Oregon, and we'll be broadcasting that live right here on the EOA Live Network. It's going to be cool. I mean, this is year 4. William, I just had a brain fart. William McLaughlin will be on the play-by-play. I'll be on the color, and we'll bring our whole team over there. And we've killed it the last few years. I really like the product that we put out. Everybody on the team does a great job at coming together and making that work for us and for them. And I think they've been pretty impressed with it too. I don't think they've gotten the attention in the past that we give them or the exposure. And it's probably my favorite time of the year here. Well, I really like early fall football, but Shrine's probably my favorite time of the year for sports. It's a pretty cool week. Andrew Peasley is currently number 4 on the Jets depth chart. He's got future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers, Tyrod Taylor, and the 5th round pick from Florida State, Jordan Travis, in front of him. He's going to get some time on the field in the preseason, which is cool. I mean, that's all he could hope for.
Right.
As an undrafted rookie, you go into camp hoping to make the roster, and which he did. He's number 4 on the depth chart, and now he just hopes he can move up because the Jets will probably only they might keep 3 quarterbacks, so he's got to bump into that top 3 to stay on that team, which is going to be tough. That means he's going to have to beat out Jordan Travis from Florida State, who was a Power 5 quarterback at FSU and a 5th round pick. We'll see. I'm pulling for him. It would be cool to see. It would be a great experience for him. The crazy thing is his teammate at Utah State, Jordan Love, was Rodgers' backup at Green Bay.
Yeah.
Before Rodgers went to the Jets. So Jordan Love, who's the quarterback for the Packers now, was Rodgers' backup, and now you see Peasley in the role of one of Rodgers' backup. Same thing as his teammate at Utah State. So Peasley's got that connection too. Jordan Love, starter in the NFL, one of his good friends, was in the quarterback room with him at Utah State. It's good. I like where he's sitting right now, and hopefully he can figure out a way to make this team. He's got the NFL body. He's 6'3", 220. You know what I mean? He's today typical quarterback, and he's got some wheels. He can move. He's very versatile in the pocket. He's really learned to have a good pocket presence and to stand tall in the pocket, which is huge in the NFL right now. The running game is kind of not as important in the NFL as it was in the 90s and in the early 2000s. It's more of a passing league now, and Peasley's got that in his repertoire. So hopefully he can make a little splash in the spring and make a team. That would be cool. Cade's Courage. Let's talk about that again. I'm going to talk about that every morning until they stop this fundraiser. That QR code will take you directly to the GoFundMe for the family, the McKinley family. Their son Cade is a freshman at LeGrand High School. He's a 3-sport athlete, and he is battling a type of Ewing sarcoma cancer. I think he's in round 2 of chemo right now. If you have the means, scan that QR code, go to their GoFundMe, and you can also go to US Bank. They have an account set up under Cade's Courage, and you can donate there if you don't want to do GoFundMe. It's absolutely awesome. It's one of those things where if you can help them, do it. Last thing to talk about today is graduation for LeGrand is this weekend on Saturday.
Yep.
And you're going to see a bunch of athletes, that have been on this show. One thing I asked, and one of them came in yesterday, is any of the local athletes that have been on my show or that have done an interview or whatever, send me a graduation announcement, and I'll put it on the wall in the studio. I have quite a few of them in there. I got one yesterday from Mason Wolcott. It's just a cool thing, and it kind of reminds me of the people that I've interviewed over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It is 5 years. That's crazy, man. Because I was looking at it, the first class that's on my wall is the class of 2020. Huh. So this is 2024. Wow. And Sports Report brought to you by Buffalo Peak. Meet me at the Peak.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's take a look outside.
Looks better than yesterday.
Yeah, it looks going to be pretty today. And
I could live with it like that every day.
Yeah. No, it was pretty. A little bit of breeze. You see the trees moving a little bit.
Bud Forrest said a couple injuries, and he could be talking about Peasley, and he's right, 100%.
Yeah.
We might see, the last, what kind of got the buzz going about Peasley again was that Thanksgiving Day game, when he was on top 10 on ESPN, and that's kind of like.
No, I know, and I happened to watch that game. That was very good. Yep. All right, let's take a look at that graphic here. So 65 today, 35 today.
Dang, it's going to get all the way down to 35.
Yeah, and then but tomorrow 73, Saturday 71, Sunday 70. So it's going to be pretty.
And then it drops all the way to 60.
Yeah, on Monday.
It can't decide what it wants to do.
A little bit of rain. Yeah, but somebody was funny. Somebody told me yesterday. They were talking about, well, yeah, but stock show hasn't happened yet, and so.
No, but that's like a week and a half away.
Right, but the point is that typically even it still even rains at the stock
Always
show.
rains
Right.
every year.
Yeah. So yeah, and you're going to take some pictures there.
I am. Yeah, I'm going to go take rodeo has always been on my list of things that I want to take pictures of.
You know, I was telling somebody the other day, it's like the things that you're doing, the pictures you're taking, are the pictures I've wanted to take my whole life. It's
you can live vicariously.
Yeah, I can. I was like, now I have all the gear, and you're the one. That
yeah, but you could do it. You can do it. You can go out there with me and take some pictures. That'd be fun.
Yeah, no.
It's just as soon as when I first started taking sports pictures, I kind of like thought in my head, what do I want to take pictures of? Well, I always wanted to do a D1 football game, which I checked that off last year.
Yeah.
And then the second thing was I always wanted to do a rodeo because I love rodeos. Yeah. I love the man versus bull. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
like,
it's super intense.
It's one of those things where you can get a lot of emotion real easy.
Yeah. No, that'll be fun. That's different than the sports stuff that you've been doing.
Oh yeah, way different.
Yeah.
And it required me to jump through some hoops. You know, they said I could come out and take pictures from the stands, or he said, the guy who runs the rodeo, Darren Hansen, he was like, you can come out and I'll get you in a spot. And he's like, the only other option is to go through PRCA, which is professional rodeo. Yeah. And so I called him yesterday, and we hit it off because the guy, their media manager, his last name is Dodd.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, yeah, my name's just yours, but cooler because it's plural. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, my last name is D. And so we hit it off.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
he was like, oh, yeah, I got you covered.
Yeah.
I'll get you a media pass. So
cool.
Which will give me access to being actually in the area where, you know, the gates, you know, down there. And then also where all the media is allowed to go. I won't have to shoot from the stands.
Yeah.
Which I want to get close.
Yeah.
Like, not close enough to get smacked, but yeah, I want to get close.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It's exciting.
All righty. Well, glad that you guys are here with us today. And here in just a minute, we're going to have Doug Hopper and Dean Varney from First Baptist Church and Fathers in the Field. They'll be with us here to talk about that ministry. We'll be right back after this. What we need is the white dot. We need another commercial there. Yeah. All right, we're back with Doug Hopper, Dean Varney. Thank you guys for being with us today. Appreciate it. And
thank you.
Yeah, the reason this conversation is important to me personally is that over the course, I mean, there's a story, but for the last probably 2 years, one of the things that I've kind of focused on, part of that is through our own local Rotary group. I'm the president of LeGrand Rotary. Mm-hmm. And in the past, we've been involved in different youth programs and so on and so forth locally here. And And so then I kind of zoomed in on, spent quite a bit of time. Of course, Cody Bowen is on the program fairly often here, so we have conversations with Cody, and then I went and talked to Ben Morgan at the juvenile department. Of course, I'm super connected with Youth for Christ and Kim and Kevin Rainey, and we support that program and have for many, many years, not only personally, but then also we give half of the production cost of those videos, we donate that to Youth for Christ. And so, and then I was a youth pastor for 6 years. And so all of this is just very close to my heart. And so then when it applies to the actual kids in La Grande, then, it's just become something that I've become more and more aware of. And the programs that we have, we have a lot of great, Youth for Christ is a great program. They have a program that started a couple years ago now called Youth 360. EOU has a program that's called Outdoor ASAP or something like that, and then Fathers in the Field. All of these things serve this need of connecting kids with adults in some manner. And what we're seeing, and George Mendoza is on the show often, and this is often a part of the conversation. The kids that are connected to sports or choir or some positive aspect, they have a much greater chance of succeeding. It's the kids that are not connected that are falling between the cracks and that really need help. And so then Fathers in the Field really is a very pinpoint program that helps kids. And Tanya and I go to First Baptist Church. It's our church home, and so then this is kind of what's kind of led to this conversation. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. And Doug, you started the local chapter. Is that what it's called, or the local
ministry?
Yeah. The local. But from the what is Father in the Field? What do they call it when somebody starts a program? Is it a?
It's a ministry within a local church.
Okay, yeah. And so you started this, and then somewhere along the line, Dean, you've kind of been pulled into this. Yeah.
Yeah, right off the bat. Doug was heading it up, but right off the bat, I realized, I want to be part of that.
Yeah. So let's zoom back out and talk about, what we see locally here with kids being disconnected and specifically fatherless is what you guys are talking about.
Correct.
We're seeing that, we see that all over. So, tell me what do we know about that group and how widely is that?
Well, Dean, you wanted to talk about what an epidemic that it is nationwide right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good term. It is an epidemic of fatherlessness,
Yeah.
not having a dad in the home. And did you have something you wanted to put to that?
Some of the statistics nationally speak to this, and it's not just from a religious perspective. You can look at the Census Bureau.
Right.
You can look at the National Center for Fathering, came out with a survey. In 1960, we see from the Census Bureau that about 8% of kids were growing up in a home without dad in the home. And then in 2012, that number jumps to 30%.
Wow.
That's according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Today, we're seeing numbers that are eclipsing 50%, probably more like 55% of kids. And we're kind of focused on boys. But a lot of these numbers are just speaking to children growing up without dads in the home. And so that's on a national level. But what kind of hits hard on this is there was a problem way back. In 1860, 4 women in Hartford, Connecticut saw boys wandering and getting into mischief, and they made the Boys and Girls Club. That was in 1860. In 1904, Big Brothers was developed from a legal clerk in New York City, and he saw the same thing. Adolescent males getting into mischief. And what they're looking for is adults, responsible adults, who can mentor and give direction. And so from a Bible-based perspective, I feel like Fathers in the Field is that response to this epidemic, to this national problem. So.
And how did, Doug, how did this first come on your radar? How did this organization first come about?
Well, it's kind of one of those things that it was always in my mind, and one of those things I'd maybe kind of rag on about, and need dads staying home, and being the kind of dad they should be, and good, strong marriages, and that's all I really did is ran about it. And one time I ran across an ad, I think it was one of the hunting magazines, about this Fathers in the Field, and I read about it. And, wow, it's based on using the outdoors as a way to interact and make connection with the boy and help mentor him. Well, this would fit right in with my personality and our LeGrand, a very outdoorsy kind of place. But just a little side note, it doesn't actually have to be outdoors, but that's
right.
what kind of the emphasis. And so I kind of followed up on that, and it took actually a period of a few years before I got totally motivated and got a hold of the national organization, and they sent out a person actually to help us get the ministry started within our church. And it took us about a year, I think, to get it all going. And several people jumped right on board and had a heart for it, just like Dean here. And it just continues to grow.
Wow. Yeah. And so when did you guys start?
2019
okay.
When we first started, and then of course we went into all the COVID thing, which didn't help things too, but we kept plugging along, and and here we are today. We have 3 boys and we've got and mentors, and we have one that's dropping off, and we got a mentor or 2 coming on. We'll be looking for more boys here coming up too.
Cool. And how do you connect with the boys that need help? How does that happen? What's your process there?
Well, any way we can find single moms that are interested in having their boy involved. And so that's always a work in progress, is to get that word out there that we're looking for boys, and telling people what we have to offer, and getting somebody interested. It's exciting when you see the combination of a mom and a boy that want to be in us, and I think you'll see a little bit later one of the videos of the excitement one boy just to get started in it, to have a man in his life. It's critical to have a man. There's great single moms. They can be the best single mom in the world out there, and most of these moms are great, but they still can't be a dad.
Right.
And so we don't try to be their dad, but we try to fill that void.
Yeah. Well, let's talk for a minute about the activities, the kind of activities that you do, and let's roll that video and kind of tell us what what we're doing, what you guys are doing here in this. Roll that B-roll video. What we're doing.
My name is Dean Varney. I've been a
actually living with his great-grandparents, and so they wanted, and then also we combined some other stuff that same day. Dean's teaching the tomahawk throw, we're shooting some pellet guns, we got to ride 4-wheelers, doing a little welding. These are just different kind of activities that these boys get to do. Anyway, here we're installing a sandbox for this young great-grandkid, and his great-grandma wanted a way to.
My name is Dean Varney. I've been a mentor with the Fathers in the Field.
It was a great project to do, and that's part of what we do as service projects, teach these boys what it's like to give back.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. And so then are you finding that some of the activities that you're doing with the kids they haven't done before?
A lot of times, I think that. Let me because I've mentored 2 boys in my experience with this ministry, and each time we've caught the first fish. These outdoor activities, getting out there into the wilderness, hiking these long distances and navigating with a map and compass, these are things that you probably just don't expect every single mom to have the expertise or ability.
Right.
And so that's where we really jump in and augment. But these boys, every boy out there has an adventure spirit in him.
Yeah.
And we don't make any apology for that.
Yeah.
We just want to feed that boy's excitement to be out there in the wilderness, to coming up on game animals, to landing that fish. And you get to experience these first with the boy. I've never ridden in a canoe. And I was gliding across the lake with a boy in the front of my canoe, and I said, "Listen, can you hear that?" And I just pulled my paddle up out of the water, and he goes, "I don't hear anything." And I said, "Exactly. That's what this is out here." And it's a neat place to be, because you have these fatherless boys who haven't experienced these experiences. They're having these adventures. You get to be there sharing with them. And I will say this too, we're never alone with these boys. We always partner up, and we'll have another man usually with us. And a lot of times it'll be another mentor, and so you'll have maybe 2 boys. But even if we just have 1 boy, we'll always have a couple of us there with him. We're out there experiencing these adventures in God's creation. So it's a neat segue for us being a Bible-based ministry to just say, hey, you have a Heavenly Father who loves you, and He'll never leave you or forsake you.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah. Faith, fatherhood, and forgiveness. That's our 3 things that we keep in the front of our minds as we're dealing with these young men.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. And I mean, I tell you what, let's show the video. So right now, Rylan is your kid.
Right now.
Yeah. And we were hoping that he was going to be able to be here this morning, but
yeah, today's Embler, their last day of school is today, and he's got a bunch of events that he's part of today, so I couldn't pull him out.
No.
Yeah.
No, but let's take a look at this. This is a video that you guys, we did recently, was produced at First Baptist Church, and Rylan is kind of telling his story. So let's play that.
My name is Dean Varney. I've been a mentor with the Fathers in the Field ministry for 4 years now, and I've been with Rylan here for 2 of those 4 years. Well, there's a lot to like about this young man. I've thought about that, and one of the things that I like the most about Rylan is his dedication to whatever he's doing. When he first came to the Fathers in the Field, his mom had suggested she was going to be running late to our first initial meeting. And Rylan decided he was not going to be late. He was going to ride his bicycle all the way from his home to the church. And that just struck me that here's a young man that's dedicated to this ministry, and it has been like that from day one.
Probably the things that I enjoyed the most are probably riding 4-wheelers, and probably going up to his hunting hideout thing, and riding 4-wheelers and motorcycles there to go hear the elk calls. Sadly, we didn't hear any though. But that was still a fun experience. Awesome. He's actually making me feel like I have an actual dad.
Wow.
In a way. It impacts me personally because we get to do stuff that my dad and I wouldn't ever be able to do because, well, he chose a life of drugs and alcohol like an idiot. And yeah, he just does a whole bunch of stuff that me and my actual bio dad don't get to do.
To a man considering maybe being on the fence about being a mentor father, I would challenge you to think of the Fathers in the Field program or ministry as I have viewed it, which is to see it in light of the narrative of the parable of the Good Samaritan. I think of the boy as the one that's been robbed and the one that's been injured. And he is in his role. But the question is, what role are we going to play? Are you going to be the priest, the Levite, or the Good Samaritan? And I think stopping, giving of your time, giving of your talent, giving of yourself to me, it's made all the difference in my life.
All right. What a cool, what a cool, and Rylan is very plain spoken, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just like, boom. Yeah.
He calls it how he sees it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent video.
Yeah. You know, I just want to say, it's interesting because men that are involved with this program, Doug and I were talking about this earlier and in the past about how we've come from different backgrounds, but we both and all have these passions for these boys, the same. But just a brief history on, why I'm here is for a brief period in my life, I was fatherless. I had an alcoholic father who was abusive to my mom. And so my response to that was I tried to be a protector to my mom, and I gravitated to my mom. And eventually that marriage fell apart, and my father abandoned my brother and I. And so we had this period of abandonment, and it was just a single mom and 2 boys. And so that's in the background of my mind. And I hear about these fatherless boys, this ministry, this program that reaches out to these boys. And that was for me the thing that said, you can relate to them, you have this absolute identity, a real idea of what they're experiencing. And that's the reason I jumped both feet into this.
Yeah.
I told my wife, Michelle, I said, I have to do this. I have to be part of it.
Yeah.
And it's been good for me. It's been therapeutic for me. I was telling Doug, I've benefited from this. And to the guy that's out there that might say, well, I'm going to focus on my family, I will tell you that my marriage has been strengthened by us partnering in this ministry. My now adult children have kind of grown up in this ministry, and they are like big sisters to the boys that I've mentored. My 31-year-old daughter told me the other day, said, Dad, I'm so proud of you for being a part of that. Mm-hmm. So I don't want people to think that this is a takeaway all the time.
Right.
Obviously, you put time and effort into it, but it's been a positive for my family and really everybody that I know that's been part of it. Wouldn't you say, Dave?
Yeah, and then we were talking about the contrast of how we got into it. I happened to grow up with an excellent father, and a strong father, a strong marriage, a great mom, 2 brothers that are mostly good, but no, 2 great brothers too, and so it was like, to me, seeing these boys that do struggle, that don't have a dad, is like, wow, maybe I have something I can share from growing up in a strong father family, and so I that's my passion, to be able to share what my past was, and as far as what I've gotten out of it, it's like, well, I want to help these boys out, and well, they've helped me out, and I've had 2 boys too that I've mentored, and one of them was had very different personality than mine, and it's like, because I want to go out there and go at it and do all these fun things, and he was a little more holding back and hadn't done much at all outdoors, basically inside most of his life, and it was like, ooh, how am I going to do this? But it was really good for me in the end that I learned and enjoyed interacting with this young man,
yeah.
and got a great relationship going. It's been fantastic.
Have you guys found that you have to delve into their world? I mean, their world is way more technical. I mean, they've got a computer in their hand, and I mean, has that caused you to?
I wouldn't say it's been a problem, because the idea is to find an activity that the mentor father loves to do.
Okay.
To be able to share with the boy, this as far as an outdoor activity, or it can be other things. It could be like cooking, I guess, if that's what you want
Right,
to do,
right.
or auto mechanics. I know that's happened different places, but generally speaking, it's like a hunting, fishing, hiking, rock climbing, backpacking, whatever those kinds of things. But whatever you're passionate about, it's easy to share and get that boy excited about. Maybe it's not even his background, but he can see that passion in you as a mentor father and pick up on that, and that's your connection. To over time build a strong relationship, and then you can share all the other parts about what it means to be a dad, what it means to be a husband, what it means to be a godly man and to follow Jesus, and because these boys, what we've learned is that if their father has abandoned them, however it might be, sometimes even through death, they still have they love their dad, but they have an anger there, and they say, I will never ever forgive my dad.
Yeah.
And so one of our goals is to say, well, you have a heavenly Father that's forgiven you for things that you probably don't deserve being forgiven for. Hopefully someday we can teach them to forgive their earthly father too. So
have you guys been a part, or have you heard of other stories in this ministry where there has been, reclamation? That's not the right word, but I mean where there's been, the father has come back into the picture, and you guys, and the ministry has been a part of. Yeah,
I don't know, not in our experience anywhere has the father come back into. We've had some contact with fathers, so maybe at some point there will be that, but it hasn't gone to that extent yet.
I think nationally, though, that's certainly happened.
Oh, I'm sure it has. But.
And our position is that's great. Awesome if dad. I mean, our real hope is that dads would continue to be engaged as long as they're available.
Right.
And if they've been disengaged, that they would then return.
Yeah.
Because I think we look at ourselves as a Band-Aid.
Let me have you pull that mic back out. Yeah. But you can just keep talking.
Yeah. So we're just kind of supplementing.
Yeah.
And we're trying to help out. The real answer would be that a dad would be engaged.
Yeah, just pull a little slack there. Here we go. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah. So the real answer would be that the dad is engaged, and once that we see that happening, then the mentor would then kind of remove himself and make sure dad's got the ball, and he would just pick it up.
We don't ever want to be in competition with the dad.
That's right.
So, we definitely want to be mentoring a boy that does not have his dad and his family to any involved in his life to any extent.
Yeah.
Might be some slight contact, but we don't want to be a competition with his dad. We want them to still love their dad. And
right.
That thing, so.
And it's kind of funny because part of this is all fathers in the field, but a lot of this is grandpa land. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, because the role.
It doesn't have to be, though. No, we don't have it. Well, first we had a very young man that was just first married that was a mentor father. He isn't now. But nationally, they have people that have men that have never been married, men that have young kids in the home still.
Yeah.
It'll work in any way, but a lot of times it is.
It's certainly, I mean, anybody could do this. Yeah. But the role that you're playing a lot is what the role that a grandpa gets to play.
And it's interesting you say that because that was my experience.
Yeah.
I went from no father to a grandfather who stepped into that role and was an incredible example.
Yeah.
And then I had the good fortune of having a stepdad who was an awesome dad. So for me, I got to see the contrast of the best that a man could offer a boy, the worst the man could offer a boy, and then two men that just, gave me everything they could give.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and this ministry is so rewarding. Recently I got, now, the kids that I youth pastored back, it was in the 90s, and, now they're all 40, they're in their mid 40s now, and so, and recently I got a graduation announcement. Okay, and so now those 40-year-olds have kids that are graduating from high school. Okay, and so then I got a graduation announcement from one of the kids of those kids that I youth pastored, and but I got it from the grandmother. Okay, so the mother of the teen. Okay, the mother of the teen that I was the youth pastor for, and she is thanking me. She says, like, you were so key in Ben's life during that particular time, and I just want to send you this graduation so that you understand that the difference that you made in his life has made a difference in the life of his kids. So I mean that the generational benefit that happens through that is like just enormous.
We say we're trying to impact one boy at a time. And one more boy. It's just and I've had this mindset in my mind of, somebody said, well, how long are you going to be part of this ministry? And I don't know. But I think for Doug and I both is if there continues to be a need, I think we'll, in some way or form, we'll try to step in and meet that need. But I've had this mental image in my mind for a couple years now, where at the end of my life, I encounter a group of men, and those are the boys that I mentored over, my time in this effort. And my hope is that they'd be a large group, that are kind of key in their communities and noble and honest and good men. But it's a huge motivation. Rylan is getting ready to move away. And I told him the same thing. I said, I expect to get the announcements of, like, I want to be invited, Rylan. I want to be invited. I want to be, I haven't stopped caring.
Right.
And he understands that.
Be at his graduation someday.
Yeah, the announcement for graduations or,
Whatever
marriages and these major milestones in your life. I will never stop wanting to be part of your life.
Do you remember, Dean, a person that when you were kind of in that critical stage of feeling a little lost, that made a big difference in your life?
Absolutely, and it's my grandpa, Joe Berryman. Joe Berryman was a fixture in the Grand Ronde Valley for a lot of years. He was a 4-H leader. One of the first things he did with me was he introduced me to a horse, put me up at Moss Springs Campground. We took off and we dove into the Eagle Cap Wilderness area. And 5 days later, my grandfather and I was on a horse named Copper. And we, along with 25 other kids, 4-H kids, came out at Wallowa Lake and rode through the Chief Joseph Day Parade. And we did that every year. But Joe Berryman, my grandfather, became my male role model, my father figure. They used to tease him because I was 6.5 when we got put together. They used to tease my grandfather. They said, Joe, don't stop quick when you're walking because the boy behind you is going to run into you. I was right there with him, and we were a pair, we were a team. But he was, and then later on, my stepdad, Jack, was instrumental, particularly in helping me develop my faith. So, a couple men that I would point to. And it's interesting you say that because, and I would throw this out to your viewers, we have at least 2 presidents that I know of that were fatherless boys. And I would challenge your viewers to maybe, text that answer in. But each one of what you'll notice about these boys is that they're driven. Generally, a lot of times they'll be driven. The question is, where will they channel? What direction will they drive into? Because can be negative. But if these young men will find a mentor, will find a responsible adult at a key point in time that can give them direction, give them, they're looking for that pat on the back that said, you're doing a great job. And when they get that from a man, a boy gets that from a man, it's something, a switch really goes off, and they want that acknowledgement. And so 2 of our presidents were fatherless boys before they were orphans. They were each fatherless before their fathers each passed away first, and then their mothers were actually became deceased. And so 2 of our presidents, the 7th president and the 31st president, were both fatherless boys before they were orphans.
So who are they again?
Andrew Jackson and Herbert Hoover.
There's lots more than that, though.
Yeah.
Obama, Clinton,
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan,
Yeah.
none of them had dads.
Yeah.
Well, I want to back up a second. You talk about, you're about running into your grandpa there. You experience that as a mentor father. These boys, they just want to hang out with a man. It doesn't matter really what you're doing.
Right.
And you think, well, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to mess this boy up. You're not going to mess him up.
Yeah.
And like I said, it doesn't matter what you do. He just wants to hang out with you. And we really do see that. And that's very rewarding for us, too. And you talk about how they can go down either track. Just a couple of quick statistics of fatherless boys. 72% of adolescent murders are done by fatherless children. 67% of state prison inmates are from fatherless homes. 85% of juveniles in reform institutions. And then fatherless children are twice as likely to drop out of school as children that come from a two-parent family. So, yeah, the statistics are there. And I think every school shooting since Columbine, I believe, has been done by a fatherless boy.
Yeah.
So it can be devastating to not have that male influence.
And it's a trend nationally that is not only there and has been there historically, but it's on the rise. This is, it's fatherless begets fatherlessness. And so in 1960, 8% of children, according to the Census Bureau, 8% of children were fatherless. Today it's just on this
55,
upward climbing scale.
Generational is what we call it, generational, because it's a cycle that tends to repeat itself within generations. And so our goal is to break that. It's one boy at a time, like Dean says.
Right. Well, and I think that's kind of where it comes back to is that, you can't save the world. It's kind of like what Kyle and I were talking about when we were going back and forth at the beginning. Is you can't make a difference with stuff out there somewhere, but
Right here.
but you can make a difference right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can
Right
get
in our
involved,
own
and
community.
and I was, I've been through a lot of different journeys in my life, but somewhere along the line, I figured out that, my obligation was to be a positive influence in my circle. The people that were in my realm, the people that work for me, the people that I intersect with, and so on and so forth. And sometimes that, if you think about it too much, you can get in your head. It's like, well, I'm not,
Absolutely.
I'm not good enough. I got lots of problems, just like everybody else. But I'm just myself. I'm myself for the sake of Christ. Now, that's not something I wear on my sleeve all the time, but the fact is that I'm, what God asked me to be was to be myself for His sake. Right. And so then that's what I do, and it's, at this point, I don't hardly even think about it. It's just who it is that is, what it is that is in me. And along the way, then you bump into different people or kids, and it makes a difference in whomever it is that you intersect with.
Yeah, like there's over 12 million boys in the country that are fatherless.
Yeah.
And you think, wow, I can't make a difference. It's not going to make a difference, but
Yeah.
it makes a difference to that one boy that you're mentoring.
Right.
It makes all the difference in his life.
Yeah.
And what I like to think too is this isn't, we're up here speaking from a perspective of a church ministry. But what we really need is everybody to be involved with. We need people to identify people that would be a fit for our program. Mm-hmm. We need single moms to get the word, get and educate themselves. I've had moms that were the moms of the boys that I've mentored. And what each time I've noticed is these moms researched, visited, spent time studying who we were. They dug this information out. They realized it would be a fit for their son. In one case, a grandma told mom about it. She saw it somewhere on a poster. So what we really need is for our community to reach these moms, encourage, help mom find out about, and if it's not Fathers in the Field, some program that's designed to mentor and encourage these fathers' boys. Give them, Big Brother, whatever it is. But we need our community here to get the word out to these moms. We need mom, do the homework, go to the websites, go to First Baptist Church's website, give us a call, find out about it. We'll put you in touch with other moms if you want that have been in the ministry or are currently in the ministry, and that's what we really need. Just your viewers to really connect into with on this, don't you think?
Yeah. If you're a single mom out there, or you know a single mom, or you know somebody that might know a single mom, we want to get that word out. And just know too is one thing we did not cover is that there's an application process to be a mentor father. It just can't be anybody.
Right.
And it goes through an approval process. There's background checks. There's always another adult along. So we try to be very, very safe and take good care of these boys. So we want them to know that too. And so we're looking for boys to be involved. And then also if there's another church out here in town that would want to have this ministry in their church, that's available too. We could put you in touch with the national organization to help you set that up in your church too.
Yeah. And again, coming back to local, there are kids that have needs right here.
Absolutely.
And whatever we can do to get them plugged in. And again, we've talked about this a ton, where there's a lot of great local programs. Our extracurricular programs through our schools, and there's a lot of championships that represent that. And all of that is a really good connection point for kids to have positive relationships. But we're really looking for those kids that just they need a hand up. It prevents them from going the wrong direction.
Right, and obviously Fathers in the Field, we can't do everything. We zero in on the boys. That's our role is mentoring these boys. But we realize that it's very damaging to girls in the family too. And so within our church body, we have what we call our champions that kind of manages the ministry. And so we have women that can come alongside these moms and help them out in the way they need, and maybe interact with daughters if there's situations they can do things at. We try to help where we can, but obviously a man can't be mentoring a young lady. Well, that's just not going to work. But we focus on the boys, but yet we do have some help there too for the moms and daughters.
Well, I want to go riding on four-wheelers. That's kind of what I thought. I'm kind of stuck on. It was like, wait a minute, that sounds like fun.
I don't think we've found a boy yet that didn't like that, have we?
Yeah. So, well, good. Well, thank you guys. And so if somebody they're interested in knowing more about the program, First Baptist Church has a Facebook page and they have a website.
Yep.
And they can reach out to you guys.
Call
through that.
or email them. And
Yeah, and you can respond. You will get back to them.
Absolutely. We'd love to.
Thank you guys for being here.
Well, thank you.
Thank
you.
We appreciate the time.
Yeah. Thanks for what you're doing, and for the guys that you're reaching. And I've interacted with Rylan several times, and I can see why you love that kid. He's
an amazing young man.
Yeah, he's a character.
They're amazing.
And you see that growth is just incredible.
Yeah. So, alrighty. Well, thanks, guys. Well, hey, you want to get us out of here?
Let's do it. I put a link to fathersinthefield.com in the comments too. On this day, May 30th, gosh, we're already almost done with May. Crazy, man. Like it's June, it's going to be June. 1431, that's a long time ago. That's a long time ago. The 100-Year War. 19-year-old Joan of Arc is burnt at the stake by an English-dominated tribunal in France. 1431. That's a long time ago. And about 60 years later, in 1498, on this day, Christopher Columbus departed with 6 ships for his 3rd trip to America. 1783, Benjamin Tower of Philadelphia publishes the first daily newspaper in the U.S. It's a long time ago, too. 1896, the first car accident documented occurs in New York City when Henry Wells hits a bicyclist. Imagine that. Weird. Like the bicyclists, even today, bicyclists, they like think they own the road. It's crazy. Like you're on a little bike. Like
Right.
you should probably
Yield.
pay attention.
Yeah.
1922, the completed Lincoln Memorial is dedicated by U.S. Chief Justice William Howard Taft in front of 50,000 people. We'll jump all the way to 2020. SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launches carrying the Dragon capsule from Cape Canaveral. I can't ever say that word. Say it, BC. Canaveral. There you go. I don't even think your mic's on. So, but anyways,
Canaveral.
to the International Space Station, the first private company to launch astronauts into space. And then 2023 on this day, 400 leading AI experts sign a letter warning mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All these experts are saying that we need to be worried about AI wiping us out.
Right.
Is what that's saying.
Yeah.
Basically, that's nuts. Number 1 movie in America on this day in 1984, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Where's the picture?
It's coming. Maybe. It's all right. Come back
Quote
to
of the
us.
day comes from Sally Hogshead. You don't have to change who you are. You have to become more of who you are. One more time. Quote of the day. You don't have to change who you are. You have to become more of who you are.
All right.
That's it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Graduation this weekend. What else? Anything
Yeah.
else
So
going on?
and we'll be streaming that. That'll
Yeah,
be
we
on our
always do.
network, 10 a.m. Saturday morning. So, and yeah,
Don't know much more going on.
no. So
Should be nice and quiet around
yeah.
here.
So next Tuesday, the Sarah from LeGrand Main Street downtown and Nicole Felty, who is the president of LeGrand Main Street downtown, they'll be with us here talking about the Main Street fundraiser Beer Fest, which is coming up the middle of next month. So thanks you guys for being here with us. Yeah. Thank you, Eastern Oregon. Yeah.
We will see you Tuesday.
See you soon.